Welcome to part 2 about bleh. That's right, part 2 about bleh. Welcome to Location Words part 2. This is for course 2, lesson 2. We're going to continue talking about these location words that we just learned, like up and down and left and right. And I hope you've watched the last video because I'm not going to repeat these words. And you do need to know the katakana, a, I, u, e, o. I don't promise that it's going to show up in this lesson, but after lesson 1, you did learn these 5, so I assume that you know them, because all of a sudden, in another lesson, they might show up. So if you're behind, get cracking. All right, so let's look at some of the new words that we're going to need and new concepts that we're going to need in this video. None. Arimasen. There are none. Okay? We're only going to talk about what we already know, but we're just going to talk about how similar things, although they seem similar, either are the same or they're not. Okay? So let's look at it. Let's look at this. So we have location des. Let's just use an old location word that we learned, soto, outside. So if I said soto des, it means it's outside. Okay? If I say soto ni iru, without conjugation, just say soto ni iru or soto ni imasu, it means it's outside. The living thing that we're talking about is outside. But what if I said soto ni aru or soto ni arimasu? It means it's outside. But we know that because I'm using aru, it's not a living thing. It could be a car, it could be a gift that you bought for somebody, you put it outside, it could be anything, but it's not going to be something that's alive. That's what's kind of cool about Japanese. In English, if we say it's outside, we know that it's an object because of the word it. That's how English works. But in Japanese, you have to know that it's an object based on aru. But if I said just des, we don't know because des can be for everything, right? So this is what you have to kind of understand. The more Japanese you know, the more things are similar sometimes, and the more nuanced things get. So let's go ahead and put an object in here. We have a cat, okay? And it's on a location. What location is the cat located? Well, out of the 3 here, 2 sentences will cover it. So where is the cat? I can say, tsukue no ue desu. And that is accurate. It's on top of the desk. Or we can say, tsukue no ue ni imasu. We have to use imasu. Again, this is repetition of the last video. And a major theme of the first 2 lessons is knowing how to use imasu and arimasu. But because the cat's alive, it must be imasu. All right. Now, this leads a question that always comes up. Well, what if the cat is dead? Well, if the cat is dead, it's still imasu, unless you're saying there is a dead body. Then, I'll give you the word for dead body, for corpse. It's shitai. Shitai. Coincidentally, you'll learn later on that the word shitai also means I want to do. But that's a pure coincidence. The kanji is completely different. The way of writing it's completely different. So shitai means, so you would say there is a dead body, shitai ga arimasu. Okay? Wow. So it would have to be aru because it's actually dead. All right, let's move on. Wow. Let's do that. Oh. My graphic's a little bit awkward here. It'll get better in a second. So we have the same phrases. Let's just give it a different object with a nice background. So now we have a computer. Computer. Computer is on a location. And where is it? We could say, tsukue no ue desu. Or we could say, tsukue no ue ni arimasu. Because this is not a living thing. Let's talk about an exception that I probably should have mentioned in the other videos. If a bus is coming towards you, right? And you say, oh, there is a bus. You might hear someone say, basu ga imasu. There is a bus as a living thing because there's a person driving it. That might happen, okay? So that's one weird exception. But in this case, even though the computer moves, it's not alive. And I don't know what will happen once we have computers that are artificially intelligent. I don't know what will happen. That's a good question. All right, let's look at our cat on the desk again. We're going to talk about 2 sentences, and the only thing that's going to change is basically the order of the way things happen. So let's look at the first sentence. If I say to you, 机の上に猫がいます. Now, a key difference here is that we didn't start with 猫は, we started with the location. So if I started with 猫は, it would be a different sentence. In this sentence, though, we're saying 机の上に, and that means that's most important. The thing that's in the first part of the sentence is more important. So we're talking more about on top of the desk. We're saying there's a cat on top of the desk. Okay? Now this is, I gotta be honest, this is really tricky because let's look at both sentences. It's a little bit tricky. 猫は机の上にいます. We're using は, not が. Now this is a difference between は and が that we haven't talked about. Okay? We've talked about many rules of は and が, but here what's happening is the word the comes into play and the word a in English. Okay? When we say 猫は机の上にいます, we're saying the cat that we know, this known object, the cat, is on the desk. But when we say 机の上に猫がいます, we don't know, we just know it's a cat on the desk. So we're saying on top of the desk, there is a cat. Now you could say 机の上に猫はいます, but you probably wouldn't. It doesn't sound as natural. If the important thing that we're talking about is, hey, on top of the desk there's a cat, then on top of the desk has to come first. If we're talking about the cat, you have to say 猫は first and then say the thing about the cat. As a matter of fact, let me explain something to you. You can have, this is still course 2, and this is a little bit advanced, but you can have a wa right here after the ni. 机の上には, on top of the desk, emphasis, being the most important part of the sentence. What about it? 猫がいます. There is a cat. Okay? We don't know this cat is just a cat. All right? Okay, so we have the same cat. Now I want to, how would you say, what is on top of the desk? What is on top of the desk? This is not easy. This is a little bit hard. You know all the parts, but what order do you start with? What's the important part that we're trying to ask? What is the thing we want to know? We want to know, on top of the desk, what is there, right? So what is there is important, but the location is probably more important at this point, okay? So we're going to say, 机の上に何がいますか? There's some animal on top of the desk. We don't know what it is. 机の上に猫がいます. Okay? That would be the answer. So if someone asks, 机の上に何がいますか? You want to answer in the same format back. 猫がいます. There is a cat. Okay? Or 机の上に猫がいます. What if I want to ask, what if the thing I'm paying attention to is the cat, not the location of the, like, not what's on top of the desk. I don't care about what's on top of the desk. I want to know where is the cat. How would I ask that? 猫はどこにいますか? And then in the answer, you're going to respond in the same format. 猫は机の上にいます. Or just 猫は机の上です. Do you see how that works? Now, this video, I want you to revisit it in a future period. Maybe go 3 or 4 lessons up and then come back and watch it again. So when I say that you follow the same pattern as the question, even if you remove some parts, it's still the same order, do that. Remember that. And it will make a lot more sense when you know a little bit more Japanese. But right now, the key thing is we're either saying there is a cat on top of the desk or the cat is on top of the desk. That's what the wa and the ga are doing in those sentences. All right, let's look at this next one. We have this computer, and I want to say what's on top of the desk. Now, your mind, you might be thinking, nani ga something, something, something to start. But that's not natural sounding. Say the location first. On top of the desk, that's the topic. What is there? That's why it's better to have on top of the desk first, because that is the topic. Remember, 机の上には is completely okay. That puts a lot more emphasis on it. We don't have to have it, but 机の上には何がありますか? Now the key difference between that last sentence is just the imasu has become arimasu. If you don't, these last two lessons have really been focusing on how to use imasu and arimasu because they're so different from English. It's really important to know the difference because you don't want to look at somebody and make them into something that's not alive, right? You don't want to say arimasu to a living person. That's just awkward, right? All right. So what would be the answer to 机の上に何がありますか? コンピューターがあります. We do not have to repeat 机の上に because we already have introduced that as the topic. That is what we're talking about. All right, next one. How would I say, where's the computer? Are you having fun? I feel like I'm a little bit too serious this video. It's probably because I'm a little bit tired. But I want you to know that this is really fun for me because I know that we started literally with 何ですか? リンゴです. And now we're saying these complicated sentences about where something is, and we're doing it all in hiragana, and we're starting to integrate the katakana. And very soon, this red background will become green, and we'll be learning kanji. And then it'll become purple, and we'll be doing these big compound sentences, and you will not have problems if you're maintaining your study habits. So how do you say, where is the computer? Some of you said it one way and some of you said it another way. There's two ways to do it, right? コンピューターはどこにありますか? or どこですか? コンピューターはどこですか? I mean, that's the simplest way. コンピューターはどこですか? There's two ways to answer it. There's actually three ways to answer it. There's actually four ways. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 ways to answer this question, depending on if you want to repeat the topic. You could say, コンピューターは机の上です. That's one. コンピューターは机の上です. You could just say, 机の上です. It's on top of the desk. You could say, コンピューターは机の上にあります. The computer is on top of the desk. Or just, 机の上にあります. There's a lot of flexibility because we already know. Even in English, if you think about it, we don't say, where is the computer? The computer is on top of the desk. We don't do that. We say, it's on the desk. We don't say computer again. We say it. We don't say on top of either. We even lower that. We say on the desk. Okay? All right. That is that for this. We're going to meet up in the next lesson, lesson 3, where we talk about something really... Oh, yes. We talk about singling out... singling out items. We're going to get there in just a second. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!